In 1977, two very strange sounds were recorded under the sea. Their frequency was very low, while the amplitude was very large. They were recorded by the radar of the United States Atmospheric Administration. But surprisingly, the same sounds were also recorded in other radars 5,000 kilometers away. After calculations, the location of these sounds was estimated, and it was found that they were generated under the sea in a very remote area of the South Pacific Ocean. At that time, these sounds were called bloops, and research was started on them to find out what these terrible sounds were. Apparently, these sounds should have been made by something very large, but nothing like that was found in this part of the sea. For many years, it was believed that a very large giant creature lived under this part of the sea, but after 2012, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration changed its stance and said that the sounds recorded in 1977 were it was generated due to glacier movement. But no one knows the truth yet. However, at the point where this sound was recorded, a very unique thing is done today. At this very point in the South Pacific Ocean, there is a part of the ocean that has no land on all four sides for thousands of miles. It is also called Point Nemo along with the oceanic pole. The nearest piece of land from here is approximately 2688 kilometers away, and this closest piece is also of no use because it is the South Pole, the Antarctic Peninsula. The nearest inhabited landmass to Point Nemo is the coastal part of Chile, which is 3,344 kilometers away, while on the other side is New Zealand, which is 4,700 kilometers away. This is why Point Nemo is considered the most desolate and deserted part of the world. So desolate that the closest human here is not on Earth, but surprisingly there are astronauts sitting in the International Space Station, which passes 400 kilometers above Point Nemo once or twice a day. Despite being cut off from the world, Point Nemo is not without purpose. Beneath this part of the ocean lie those inventions of humans for which money was once poured like a river. Yes, Point Nemo is that graveyard of broken satellites, spacecrafts and pieces of rockets. The question arises as to where satellites were dropped before Point Nemo was discovered, why is there a need to drop them, and above all, how are satellites brought to Point Nemo? Welcome back to Past Empires videos. Viewers, Point Nemo is spread over an area of 220 million square kilometers in the South Pacific Ocean. It is such a large area that even the world's largest country, Russia, can fit in it, and even then, there will be enough space left to fit 5 countries like Egypt. However, there is no human settlement in these 220 million square kilometers. Humans, and many sea creatures cannot survive underwater here. Researchers believe that the conditions here are very challenging, in which it can be difficult for sea life to survive. Point Nemo is located in a very remote and deep area of the South Pacific Ocean, where the water temperature is cold and there are no nutrients. Point Nemo is in a place where due to oceanic currents, i.e., due to the rapid flow of water, there is a lack of nutrients. This water keeps moving around in this part of the ocean, meaning that water from other parts of the Pacific Ocean cannot flow properly here, due to which there is a lack of nutrients here, and wherever nutrients are low. There are also fewer plantains and other microscopic organisms that form the food chain. The depth of the ocean in this area is about 3,700 meters or 12,100 feet. Sunlight cannot reach such a depth, so photosynthesis cannot occur here. If there is any sea life, it can only be deep-sea organisms like the cod, bioluminescent fish, and other deep-sea creatures that can survive in extreme conditions. In 1992, a Canadian engineer first discovered Point Nemo by doing various mathematical calculations. This place is so remote that the person who discovered this point has not even been here himself. 9 years later, in 2001, it was first used by the Russian Space Agency, since Point Nemo is a part of the ocean that falls into international waters, meaning that no country can claim it. They don't, which is why the world's various space agencies don't have to get permission from anyone to land their space objects here. March 23, 2001, it had been 15 years since the launch of the Russian space station Mir, and it was no longer capable of remaining on the mission for a long time. That is when the Russian Space Agency deorbited it, that is, removed it from Earth's orbit and dropped it in Point Nemo. After Mir, other space agencies also found this place quite suitable, and now they also use it for dumping spacecraft. In the last 23 years, this graveyard has been filling up, and there is debris of more than 260 spacecraft under Point Nemo. Soon the International Space Station will also be buried at the same Point Nemo because according to NASA, the life of the ISS is up to 2030. Before that, it will be decommissioned. The satellites or spacecraft are made in a very precise manner. Even after spending millions of dollars, they are not made to last forever, just like the expiration date of various products is written at the time of making them. Similarly, objects orbiting in space, there is also an expiration date, and after this expiration date, it is very important to crash them voluntarily. If this is not done, the spacecraft can go out of control and leave orbit at any time and fall to the Earth in an uncontrolled manner. In 1978, Cosmos 954, which was a Soviet satellite, had a problem and its contact with the base station was lost. Now that satellite became uncontrollable and remained in its orbit for some time, but finally after several months it left the orbit and started moving towards the Earth. What was feared happened. It made an uncontrolled entry into Earth. But the biggest danger was not its being out of control, but the nuclear reactor in it, which was due to which this satellite got power. This satellite burned to ashes in the sky, but the radioactive material spread throughout northern Canada. After that, an operation was started, the sole purpose of which was to search for and clean up this radioactive material. It was the largest operation of its kind, which was named Operation Morning Light. Fortunately, no one was harmed in it, but after this accident, the world saw a glimpse of the harm of operating satellites using nuclear power. In addition, in 1997, Lottie Williams from Oklahoma was walking in the park when suddenly something fell on her shoulder. It turned out to be a piece of a Delta II rocket that had broken up miles away while entering the atmosphere. Lottie Williams was not injured in this accident. It didn't happen, but this accident opened everyone's eyes. Such incidents should not happen in the future. That is why space objects are dropped over the deserted parts of the ocean. Until the point of no return was discovered, this work was done in the Pacific Ocean or in remote areas of the Earth. Whenever a satellite or spacecraft is to crash, it is first removed from orbit with the help of thrusters installed in it. Even after being removed from orbit, it continues to revolve around the latitude for the next several months, but gradually it also gets closer to the Earth. When, where, at what time, and in what position the thrusters are to be activated, this work is calculated very carefully by engineers. Before entering the Earth's atmosphere, the thrusters are activated again, which directs it towards the point of no return. Remember that in space, since there is no air and no pressure, there is no friction. Satellites that are in their orbits do not experience any friction. They do not leave their orbit for the next several months without power. Their speed is very fast, normally at 15,000 kilometers per hour. And when they enter the atmosphere at this speed, their temperature increases to 3000 degrees Celsius due to friction, and they take the form of a fireball. This temperature melts the metal in them and turns them into ashes. In most cases, the debris becomes a spark before it falls. But sometimes some debris also reaches the ground, which can cause heavy damage if it falls on a population. This is why they are targeted at the 220 million square kilometer area of Point Nemo to protect humans from its harm. Talking about the name, Nemo is a Latin word which means no one because neither humans nor sea creatures live here, and this location is also such that ships do not even pass through here. Vessels avoid such locations where in case of a problem, it is difficult to get help. If you ever get stuck at Point Nemo, it will take 2 weeks to get help here by ship. And there are only a handful of helicopters in the world that can travel up to 3,000 kilometers, including the Augusta-Westland AW101 and the Lockheed Martin F-71. And there is no guarantee that they can cover the distance of 3,000 kilometers without refueling. And even if they do, there will be no fuel left to return. Reaching Point Nemo and conducting underwater research there is a dream of the scientific community. Maybe in the future, research will be done here and the secrets of the sounds heard in 1977 can be revealed. I hope you will like and share this video of past empires. Thank you very much for your loving comments. See you in the next wonderful video.